I don't know what we're doing today. Do you know what we're doing today? What are we doing today? Hi. Oh, goodness. The star. It's getting a little warm. All of a sudden, I'm feeling very warm. The star and the King of Wands. That's interesting. I was just thinking about that asterisk reading, like the Earth Day thing, right? And how, one second, and how I guess I should stop talking, right? Give me a minute. Give me a minute, if you will, if you please. What? Not even a minute, and you're already AFKing the video. Yes, I know. I know. Okay. um. So I. It's fine. You know what? It may be time to take the as the twists untwain. Yeah, I like used a volume conditioner because I had to wash my hair, and it made like some parts like extra poofy. But also, I feel like it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I didn't bring my hair anything besides ties, and I could tie it back, but it is what it is. All right, so I have the Rider Waite and Two of Hearts and the Joker. Interesting. There should be a red one, right? Or another one? I could look. I was thinking about the Fool for some reason, and not just because of the. Here it is. The other Joker is between the Ace of Spades and the Ten of Spades. I actually saw the Ace of Spades at the cut with the Eight of Cups when I was just shuffling. I see the King of Diamonds, or the King of Clubs, the Eight of Spades, and the Queen of Clubs, with the Queen of Hearts over here. And the King of Wands was just like at the bottom of the deck. These cards are bent and it upsets me, but that's fine. So that Two of Hearts was giving me a Two of Cups energy from the Wild Unknown Tarot. In that deck in particular, the Two of Cups is a mirror for me. Um, like in any standard tarot deck, I feel like in a lot of standard decks, besides what like Old Maid, there's only one copy of each card in the deck. Or like even if you have multiple cards, usually there'll still be some kind of like differentiating factor, right? Like with the Jokers, there's two Jokers, but they look different. So it was giving me that like this Joker is missing a Joker to be on the other side. The King of Swords just flipped over. I feel like the King of Swords has been coming out a lot. Knight of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, which has also been making a few appearances. This is the difference between the two Jokers. They're both the same size, right? Yeah, they're both the same size, but one is black and white and one is in color. And it's funny because this one is black and white. Well, I mean, spades. The only cards with color on them, I guess, are hearts and diamonds, typically. I think it was because, so yeah, I saw the Ace of Swords. Oh, look. And the King of Swords is holding the sword. Um, I saw the Ace of Swords and the Eight of Cups, and I was going to read these. I didn't know how I was going to read these, but I was going to pull them. And I feel like the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are very easy to sort of get. But the ace, the two, and the three can be a little whatever for me in particular. So I was like, ace of spades, like when I saw the ace of spades and the eight of cups, if I like were to look at it as the ace of swords, when I saw the ace of spades and the eight of hearts, if I were to look at it as the ace of swords and the eight of cups, it's like there's some new knowledge or information or someone has an aha moment and then it's like they have to walk away from something. And if it's something that you already know you have to do, sometimes the ace of swords can be helpful. Um, just like if there's a habit that you need to kick, like, right, let's say like you've been eating too much of a thing and it's not good for you and you have to stop. And it can be difficult to stop, but it's like if they change the recipe and make it bad, like make it taste bad, then it's easier because it's like it's not even what it used to be. Like it doesn't even taste good anymore, right? Or like if there are so many examples. The Ace of Swords, again, if it's like, I feel like it's a little bit rougher if it preempts some kind of distance. It can be like, ooh, I found this out, so now I gotta go. Versus like I was already on my way out, or I already knew I needed to go, and this makes it easier. But if I read it like that, it was easy. If I didn't read it like that, well, I guess it would almost speak to pure potential, right? Okay, it was easy. And then the 10 of spades would be the master of, you could say the master of the mind, um, but it's more sort of like a master of logics. So this is actually, and then the king of swords is here. Spades, swords, easy parallel, right? So to see the master or the number of mastery in that suit plus the master of that suit, this is actually a very interesting energy. It's an energy of pure potential and somebody that knows how to use it. or someone that knows how to make strides with it. Because it's pure potential, it can be anything. But sometimes potential is heavy, or it's like there's more potential than we can do with something, if that makes sense. The two of diamonds, is that the king of, oh, the king of clubs? Two of diamonds at the bottom of the deck. Okay. It's interesting that it came out with the jokers, though. I mean, I guess it isn't. I guess the more interesting thing is with the king of swords, especially the king of swords. But I feel like if there were any king that were sort of like more, I feel like the king of pentacles and the king of swords can both be kind of rigid, but the king of swords can be rigid in a way that is almost very uncreative and unimaginative on its surface. I definitely don't think it has to be, because this is like a full utilization of potential. And this kind of potential, with it being air, it's like all of the things that could be. So if you were to, let's say that there is a sufficiently advanced technology, it's almost the energy of sufficiently advanced technology. It's the energy of like if you were to go 2 to 3 to however many hundreds of years or however long into the future, it's like you could make the future today using the technology and the tools and the equipment of today. You could make something like futuristic and extraordinary. So, and it is like King of Swords, fixed air, Aquarius, the future is now type energy. And again, it's because of that mastery with the 10 of, I was thinking about the 10 of Swords earlier for a different reason. Because of mastery with the 10 of spades and that King of Swords. Again, it's like he knows how to use it because he's holding the sword upright. Interesting. But it's with this Joker type full energy. That's why I was like, it's interesting that it's with this King of Swords because the Joker, the Fool, is fresh. It's not something that's been done before. But I think that's also why it is this energy of like a sufficiently advanced technology. Sufficiently advanced being like it's very advanced, but it doesn't use any components that aren't available. So knowledge thing. Because if the components are available, then why wouldn't it be, you know? And it's not that there aren't anyway. It is what it is. Who was that? The Empress. Oh, that Knight of Pentacles. It's the realm of things that can be. Oh, there's the Fool. The Fool in the Tower at the cut. Mm. The Fool is like looking at the tower. And then these people are like falling out of the tower. These two together is so interesting because that energy came out recently. I don't think I stated it as it was, but I know it came out recently. And it's the energy of that Tower, the Spire. Um, I was going to say, well, today is a twist on twain because my hair. Some of them are still pretty twisty. I think it was like, was it this one? Where it's just like, nah. See, it's like the twist is coming undone. I'm gonna like probably give it another day. So then at least the ends will be curly. I don't know. Um, a twist untwain. The spire, the thing like outside of time, chronostasis, but it did come out this year, I'm pretty sure. That whole, or maybe it was the end of last year. The thing about analogs, and it's like because something begins to move or because something moved over here, something connected to it, like physically or perceptibly, something is at a perceptible remove or distance from the other thing. But as this thing moves, then the other thing simultaneously begins to move. Now, it may not be like a one for one match because, like, if you match force applied rather than distance traveled, you would have to exert a great amount of force on, like, you would have to exert a great amount of force to move a boulder, and you don't have to exert as much force to move a rock. But you have to have like the cumulative force to move the boulder. So the rock is going to travel potentially miles and miles and miles before the boulder begins to move inches type energy. I mean, yeah, this is almost, I feel like this used to come out all the time back in the day. That like scientists remind the world that clean energy is like good to go for whenever. And so that tower in the Fool, it's almost like because some kind of, it could be, I'm not, it doesn't necessarily read that way, but it could be like because something is happening, because something is falling apart, then like a contingency is being rolled out. But it's almost like the contingency is better than the current practice. Maybe it's a mileage thing. Maybe you want to get as much out of something as you can before you sort of replace it or phase it out. Maybe it's a status quo type thing where it's just like habits and ease of repetition versus learning or incorporating, building something new. I would kind of like to, honestly. So Six of Swords. What happened to the Tower in the Pool? Six of Swords and the Moon. Interesting. The Six of Swords and the Moon is, this is the energy of the Eight of Swords when it came up that one day. But it was like just because it's blind doesn't mean that it isn't like moving. It doesn't need to see. Right. And that's the sort of like navigating by moonlight sort of energy. Moving at the speed of trust. I would say moving at the speed of intuition, but well, yeah, yeah. I guess I'm gonna give this a few shuffles and then pull before and after the Fool to clarify this other Joker, right? Because we have one flanked between the Ace of Spades and the Ten of Spades title card at the bottom of the deck, but it's the Pamela Coleman Smith title card. In 1909, she undertook a series of 78 allegorical paintings described by Arthur Edward Waite as a rectified tarot pack, including full scenes on every card. The designs published in the same year by William Ryder and Son exemplify the mysticism, ritual, imagination, fantasy, and deep emotions of the artist. With the King of Cups at the cut. See, but this fool is almost like a director, right? Because it's like the Ace of Swords, like with the hand up, and then the Ten of Swords with the hand down. So it's almost like, hey, take this, which is another interesting kind of not twist, but I feel like kind of sort of usually with the energy of like a magician or a manifestation or some kind of actualization. I mean, maybe for me, I'm why maybe. Um, it's a lot more active and personally involved. It's like the coder sitting at the computer, it's the artist that is at their easel, it's the sculptor, it's the, you know what this is? It's the pottery maker, the potter. Oh my gosh, it's the potter at the wheel. Usually it's that kind of energy and not like a director or conductor or a delegator. And I feel like that almost brings in an intuitive element, kind of like solving a puzzle, but just like knowing where the pieces go. So it's like you pick up a piece, you can set it wherever it's supposed to go within that puzzle. Let's say it's like 500 pieces. You pick up a piece, you know where it goes. And so at first, unless you get lucky, at first it's just going to be like random pieces just floating in the middle of nothing. Pieces and you know where they go, then it starts to like the pieces start to connect and the image is like built out of these different it's almost giving like stars in a constellation, honestly. But each star in that constellation is a sun of a solar system. And so for a while, I feel like for a while it wouldn't even necessarily look like that King of Swords Joker energy wouldn't necessarily know what it's doing because the picture isn't like you can't see the picture yet. It's just random pieces floating in the middle of like nothing. Okay. Nine of Swords, title card, Eight of Pentacles. Interesting. Especially for Pamela Coleman Smith. This is an interesting trio. This is doing the work anyway, regardless of this Nine of Swords, anxiety, wrestling with potential futility, or maybe not getting the credit for one's work or something like that, not being recognized, but working anyway. I mean, that's just what that trio can. Uh, let's see. I feel like I need a nap already. Already. Well, the Fool is close to the top of the deck, which I love. It's more conscious than subconscious, and I'm not surprised because the High Priestess and the Six of Cups, the High Priestess, the Fool, and the Six of Cups, with the Moon and the Two of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, Two of Swords, the Magician, the Ace of Pentacles, the Chariot, the Magician, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Two of Swords. Before that, I think it was the High Priestess first, and then the Moon, the King of Wands, Judgment, and the Seven of Wands, followed by the Sun. Judgment, the Seven of Wands, and the Sun is crazy. After that, Six of Cups. Sun, Six of Swords, Two of Wands. There's only three cards left. Okay, I'm going to shuffle these. I may not pull them, but. Okay. So this is like almost like since a child type energy. Or it could be like if someone was more intuitive or sensitive. Also, because of that Fool energy, with this Joker, like it's a King of Swords, but not a King of, like, not rigid, not so logically or analytically driven that it's incapable of creativity. Right. I think there is a sort of flavor, there can be a flavor of logic that more so that can only do what has already been done, or that can only do what there is a precedent set for. Right. Like it's not necessarily, again, it's not necessarily creative. It's not going to do anything out of the box or like some wild application of whatever. But that's not this energy. And then it was a seven of. I want to do it this way because it was the Moon and then the King of Wands and then Judgment and then the Seven of Wands going forward. And it was the Two of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, the Magician, and the Chariot going back. Okay. So rather than it being like a dream that someone's had, I mean, it could be obviously, but rather than it being like a dream that someone had when they were a kid or something that they've been like working towards for their whole life, it's integration, application, a use of like a childlike wonder and imagination and curiosity. There's High Priestess though. And again, this to sort of clarify this Joker, since we only have the Two of Cups that it came out with. So this Ace of Swords, Ace of Spades, Ten of Spades is a mirror to the Six of Cups, High Priestess. I don't have one of those. I think the King of Swords just flipped over. Yeah, it just flipped when I was shuffling. Okay. So all of this is air, right? It's not necessarily tangible. But then, excuse me, you have this Ace of Pentacles. What I love about the Two of Swords into the Ace of Pentacles, and I already shuffled away the Sun. The Two of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles is a very similar energy to Judgment, the Seven of Wands, and the Sun. And maybe that's why the High Priestess is here, because it's an element of knowing. But again, it's almost like that speaks to the intuitive nature of that Master of Spades, the Master of Air, where it, again, it's like it picks up pieces at random within a puzzle and puts the pieces where they're supposed to go. Because it's like it first it came across as just like an intuitive knowing of where things go. Now, because of judgment and even the Two of Swords, there's an element of vision here, like the King of Swords energy. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised because it's the King of Swords. Maybe if it were the King of Cups or something like that, I could, it would be, yeah, I shouldn't be surprised because that it's how the King of Swords, it's how the King of Swords interacts with potential. And so this fool or the Joker just has to maintain its vision. The Seven of Wands is the hill that someone will fight on. And it was between judgment and the sun. Right. So there's going to be a point in time where it's like you can't physically see the thing. If you're just looking at the random pieces, you may not see the image that the assembled puzzle pieces will create. But in her mind's eye, she sees the image, and then the thing comes to pass, then the thing comes to be with the ace of, excuse me, pentacles. And again, that's followed by, preceded by the magician and the chariot, the creation of the thing that took a force of will to accomplish. So in that vein, it could be something that's been on someone's mind for a very long time, or a solution to a problem that they encountered when they were a child. Someone was impacted or affected by something when they were younger and or more naive, and now they have the knowledge to do something about it, right? And it could be like a question. Maybe while someone was going through their education, formal education, or while someone was going through life, there was always like a question that they sort of had, like why is this way, or why is something whatever. But after they acquire the knowledge and they have the resources, maybe because we did see the tower with that fool, and we saw the ace of swords, or I saw the ace of spades with the eight of hearts and the cut before, or yeah, at the cut when I was shuffling before I went live. And again, it was that energy of like knowledge, some new piece of knowledge that is the impetus for uh, cutting ties with the past, right? Maybe there was something that everyone sort of just accepted or has been accepting for a while. But now that we have sufficiently advanced technologies, we don't have to just assume certain things anymore. We can actually test them, right? It's like, it seems like they're still proving Einstein's theorems right to this day. which is kind of interesting because it almost plays. It was Neptune. It was the Six of Swords, the Tower, and Neptune. That was that Spire energy. That was like it came out recently, and I don't think I said it, but it did sort of peek out. It was the Six of Swords, the Tower, and Neptune. That's what it was. I was gonna say it's almost like that Neptunian energy because Neptune was mathematically predicted, calculated before it was discovered. Right. And so it's almost like that same energy. Maybe there were things that we kind of sort of just accepted, but it's like we don't have to just accept it anymore. In this case, however, it feels like this King of Swords is proving something to be either false or limiting. Limiting in the way that it only applies in like certain circumstances or in certain like situations. You know what I mean? But once that thing is like more directly observed or more directly interacted with, it leads to a whole new slew of breakthroughs that gets us to that sufficiently advanced technology. And again, it's because the King of Swords is a sort of director or an assembler or an orchestrator of things, a mitigator of things, and not necessarily a direct contributor. Because the King of Swords has a bit of a, even with the Seven of Wands, it's a position of oversight. Look at this. It's not the same, but it's similar, right? Um, After time, when it's assembled, then we'll actually see the thing. And again, that's the Ace of Pentacles. The King of Wands symbolized drive, and it was looking towards the unknown in that asterisk. And it's still doing the same, but it's looking over the High Priestess, which was I think the High Priestess was the significator, the anchor. It's looking over the High Priestess and it sees the Fool. And with that, again, it's that energy of like, you know enough to get started, especially this King of Swords energy as the assembler of the thing, as the mind through which something is born. The King of Swords has to be the initiator. It's something that doesn't exist yet. So you can't just wait for it to like be. Sometimes you got to get your hands dirty by telling other people what to do. um, but yeah, I think the toughest challenge for this King of Swords energy would probably be, if not trust, then determination or dedication or persistence, endurance. Because again, depending on how many pieces of the puzzle there are, it could take a while before things start to come together where like other people can see the picture or where even the person themselves, where now it's like they're accurately putting the vision out there and now something is coming to be. We also did see the Empress, right? Which is like birthing, creating something. Cool. I don't think there's a need to take it further. And it's not even an hour. I'm good with that. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. And the King of Wands came back out. Exhibition. Excuse me. I wonder if wolves, but they wouldn't, would they? No. I was gonna say, I wonder if wolves howl at the moon when it's new. Like just because you don't see it, or like if they howl at the moon when it's like cloudy. You know what I mean? Like just because you don't see it doesn't necessarily mean it's not there. Also, yeah, yeah. It's the thing. When I was talking about dedication, endurance, determination, trust in one's vision, again, it's the whole um, like matching accumulated work done, right? Is that force or is that uh, physics has always been like when I get into it, I get it. But when I'm just thinking about it, sometimes I'm like, wait, it took me a while to get my head around physics, TBH. Like, I feel like I had my first physics class, I was like kind of lost. Then I had electricity, magnetism, and optics. And I was like, okay, this is interesting and it makes more sense. And then it was like three quarters of the way through fluid dynamics when I was like, oh, now physics makes sense. Like I needed more, and it's not even application. I don't know. It took a while for it to click for me, which was its own struggle because usually I pick up on things pretty quickly. And so it was very much a head bashing against the wall for a while. Anyway, why am I feel like I just completely derailed myself. It was the drive, determination, and endurance. Yeah. Oh, that's why, because of work. Is work force times distance? Definition. I'll just put work. Work, physics. Is it FD? Yeah, and physics. Work is the energy transferred to or from an object when a force acts upon it over a displacement, calculated as W equals FD cosine theta. So it's lateral distance, which kind of sucks. You know what I mean? Because cosine is the adjacent, yeah, over the hypotenuse. It's just the horizontal distance. It's not. It doesn't account for. Well, I guess it kind of does. It kind of does because yeah, it does. It does because of that angle. Because the angle will like you know when it's flat, it will be closer to zero. Right? Is it left hand or is it right hand? Which one is the finger trig hand? Yeah, because cosine of zero is one. And so cosine of 90 is zero. Right? Hey, Google, what is cosine 0 degrees?
The cosine of 0 to the power of circ is 1.
It's
Explanation.
one. A finger trig. I learned finger trig in high school. Finger trig was like a game changer in college. I was surprised more people didn't know finger trig. People were like, "How do you know that?" I'm like, "It's finger trig, right? From the thumb to the pinky, it's sine. From the pinky to the thumb is cosine, and then like if you want to do tangent, you just do the left over the right. And I think it's 0, 30, 45, 60, 90. So 0 degrees 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees. So at 0 degrees, you put your thumb down. Well, as I'm looking at it, I put my thumb down. And so it's the square root of these over two. The square root of two is two. Two over two is one, right? But if you do the cosine of 90, then there's no fingers. So the square root of zero is zero. Zero over two is zero. So cosine of 90 is zero. And then if you want to do like tangent 45 degrees, it would be one because you have two to the left and two to the right. Sine and cosine is the same. Radical two over two. Anyway, finger trig. I was, and again, it was like one of those things that I thought like everybody knew. I was like, girl, and at that point, like I felt bad for the people that didn't learn finger trig in like high school or earlier, just because it made so many things so much quicker. Anyway, yeah, work. It's the work done, right? Which is force times distance. So you're gonna do a lot more work to move a bowl. It's like the work that's done to move that rock for miles that would only move the boulder inches. So I almost wonder if a breakthrough isn't coming because something has been, I don't know where this sits temporally. Like when it comes to time, I don't know where this is. Like the King of Swords could have been working on something for years, and now the picture is complete enough that there are like real world, again, it's almost it's the energy of a whole new frontier that opens up. And it's also giving me, so in this audiobook series that I listen to, that it's fine. In this audiobook series I listen to, there are spell patterns, right? So there's spell patterns slash spells, and then there is the magic. Sometimes the magic is elemental, sometimes the magic is like spiritual or emotional. But it's like if you have a spell pattern and you channel different energies through it, it changes the spell, right? If you have a spell pattern for um, projection, if you channel like a spirit, like an emotionally tuned spiritual energy through that through that spell pattern of projection, then it's going to project that emotion. If you channel an elemental energy of like fire through that, then it's going to be a fireball. But people with multiple affinities, it's that energy of like channeling multiple energies through that pattern to get different results. But it's almost like that's part of the initial rush of like a whole new frontier being open. It's like, well, if you can do this with whatever, then maybe you can do it with this. And maybe you can do it with that. And maybe you can do it. And so it's almost like a domino. Interesting. I don't know how that applies. Okay. All right. I feel like that's enough. We don't have to take it to an hour. Right? Right. Right? Right. I am gonna get one of these. Oh, not one of these. Darn it. I meant one of the other ones. The Queen of Wands just flipped over. She has that sunflower. She is the sun to this sunflower, just like the sun is the sun to the field of sunflowers. So again, it feels like it just reiterates or plays into that whole like someone now it's in between the Queen of Pentacles and the Two of Wands. It's a vision that someone has to nurture within themselves. Queen of Pentacles pre Empress. We saw the Empress earlier. See how the sun is like the sun for all the sunflowers. She is the sun for this one. And again, it's like that judgment, Seven of Wands, sun, where this King of Swords energy just has to be the one holding it down until the picture is complete enough, until the puzzle is complete enough that other people can see it. I wanted to get one of these with the King of Wands still at the King of Clubs still at the bottom. With the 10 of Diamonds at the cut. It's like a whole new, almost like a whole new dynasty, a whole new dynamic. Interesting. It's very exciting feeling. All right, let's get one of these. I want to flip or fall. I didn't even have to ask the tarot deck. They was just flipping. But because we got the King of Swords as a standalone, I wanted to get a standalone here. The Jack of Hearts. Jack of Hearts could be the Knight of Cups. We saw the Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups was Queen of Diamonds, Queen of Pentacles. Love it. The Jack of Hearts was the thing ferrying things from the unknown to the known. But it was like bit by bit by bit, like one cup at a time. The Knight of Cups was transferring things. What I love about this Jack of Cups, though, is because it came out here rather than in the tarot deck, it looks both ways towards the known and the unknown. It sort of stands as an in between. It could gatekeep. And there's an Eight of Hearts energy here, right? Because this heart, I mean, technically 10, but we don't count these. There's this heart and that heart, and then three there and three there. So it's like this Six of Hearts, which is, we get the Six of Cups. And then these Aces of Hearts that it looks like. Um, be, okay, with this 3 3 6 of Cups on that Jack, or with the 3 3 6 of Hearts on that Jack of Hearts, it gives an energy with this Six of Cups of who someone is, right? So there, at first, it was like that childlike curiosity, right? Like I had a conversation with somebody about a year ago, a little over a year ago. Yeah, a little over a year ago and some change maybe, about sort of like logical people and like emotional people and whatever. And I asked the question, I was like, well, shouldn't a logical person be able to like be aware of the fact that like there are different kinds of people? And the person I was talking to was like, no, that's like an emotional person thing. And I go back to that Albert Einstein quote, question mark. Well, the internet loves to attribute it to Albert Einstein, and apparently we're Einstein today. Um, where it's like, you don't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree or a bird by its ability to swim. It is illogical. And that's logic. That's not anything sensitive or abstract or what. That's like a cold hard fact. Fish are in water. Their primary mode of transportation is probably swimming. Birds have feathers, and their primary mode, I feel like primary mode, maybe a little bit of stress. They're capable. Birds that are capable of flight are capable of flying, but birds typically don't swim under the water, right? They swim on top of the water, but you're not necessarily going to find them swimming under the water, even if they can. Is there a bird? Because I know they like catch stuff in the water. And I guess ducks kind of like go under a little bit. I don't know if there's a bird that like swims, right? And it's almost like that, right? Like true logic, King of Swords, Queen of Swords logic should be able, like, I feel like it has to be able to account for different things, right? If it's not the King or Queen of Swords, that'll tell you that when it's summer in the northern hemisphere, it's winter in the southern hemisphere, then who's going to tell you that? You know what I mean? Not be like, oh, well, like, anyway, it's fine. It's something about this is it's almost like a character type thing. So even if the King of Swords hasn't been working on something since they were a child, it's because the King of Swords is who they are. That they see the application of potential that they see. Cool, love it. I mean, who else are you gonna trust with an ace if not a king and or queen? Okay. Oh man, it's almost an hour. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Take it as it resonates. If it resonates, if it don't resonate, don't take it. Right? And I feel like this doesn't even necessarily have to be. I feel like it could be anything. Like the pieces of a puzzle sort of coming together, and the image is about to shine through. Ooh, Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands. Excuse me. The chariot got put away on top of the Ace of Wands. Temperance and the Queen of Wands. I feel like Temperance and the Queen of Wands, especially in the context of the Queen of Wands being the sun for that one sunflower, it is about boundaries and balance. Boundaries, balance, and knowing your limits, like not over giving. The Queen of Wands isn't sat in front of a whole field of sunflowers, and that's because she has enough, like for one, right? And even that, Temperance and the Three of Wands, even that in and of itself is like amazing and astounding because flowers photosynthesize and they need light to do that. And people typically aren't like radiating light, maybe unless they're like ill, um, deeply, like radioactive people, tragically. The star, there's a star again. The star with the Nine of Cups. All right. Ooh, final card is on the flow. Bottom of the deck is the Page of Swords. Page of Swords, the High Priestess, and the Ace of Swords, with the World card on the other side of that Ace of Swords. First, it was the Ace of Spades and the Eight of Cups. Now it's the Ace of Swords in the World. This World, though, has two wands, where the Magician only had one. The Lovers fell to the floor. Okay. The Page of Swords, this is giving me, there are a few Like I watch anime, I play video games, and I listen to video games and anime in audiobook format. It's given me the energy of any world slash system where there are a lot of like long sword users, great sword users, shield and sword users, but there's not as many dual wielders. And it's almost like this page of swords has the one sword, but they're looking at, oh goodness. You see that? Oh, it felt like right here. I was saying it's peering through the veil, gazing through the veil, because that's where the high priestess is, and sees that ace of swords here with the same little things that we saw coming off of the moon. This page of swords is like interested in a dual wielding fighting style, but in a world where it's like unheard of. Or in a land where it's unheard of. Which sometimes a land might as well be the world, especially if there's no interaction, right? Cool. Oh, what I do like about this is though, we saw that Two of Swords. We saw the Two of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles that preceded, no, that came after the Chariot and the Magician. And again, she has two wands. Even that, she has two wands where the Magician only has one. This Page of Swords is meant to dual wield. And it's like they're going to be self taught for a while. Is it self taught though? Yes. Is it self taught if like your intuition instructs you? Because I feel like on one hand you could say yes, but on the other hand you could say no. But if you say no, then who taught you? If it's your intuition, right? The divine taught me that God was my, what do you call it? Not a mentor. It's like it's a purely intuitive. I feel like the intuition, we're seeing a lot of swords. I love it. We're seeing a lot of swords, but these swords do not exempt or exclude intuitive influences and energies. Cool. And then the lovers. The lovers. The lovers. Again, the lovers could be the two, or the one being two, just like the world card had two wands, and the two of swords had two swords. Maybe because there's the sun, the angel, and then the couple, right? So it's almost like in the sun card, it was sunflowers, but in the lovers card, it's people. Maybe. But again, maybe that just follows that line of like, if it's sort of intuitive for someone, then are they self taught? This is where I almost wish I had the SKT. You know what I'm gonna do? I have it on the computer. I got it on my computer. I mean, I guess I have the Fable Makers through that program. So my mind is a little melty. It makes me think of this the lover's card here, especially in context of that, like, is someone self-taught if their intuition is how they know or learn something? You know what, let's ask my new favorite virtual assistant. I feel like the only time I really use Gemini is like when I'm live or something. I'm not one of those people that can just talk to Gemini because it's like I don't know what to say. Gemini would be like, because I'll do the live thing. I've done it like 2 or 3 times to be like, what is this? Is this okay? And Gemini was like, yeah, girl, that's just some like feathers from the chicken in the coop on that egg. It's fine. You can still eat it. Cause I was like, I was like, I don't know what this is. Why is this egg fuzzy? And Gemini was like, it looks like feathers and stuff. It was laid by a chicken, and maybe it sat there for a little bit. And I was like, oh, okay, 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 all right. Hey Gemini, or I always do that. Hey Google, if someone picks something up intuitively, and if their intuition is like from the divine, then can they say that they're self-taught?
Technically, yes, since self taught means learning without a formal instructor, gaining knowledge through personal intuition. Even if you believe that intuition is divinely inspired, still falls under the umbrella of independent learning. In a spiritual or philosophical context, you might also consider these terms: autodidact, the formal term for a self taught person; intuitive learner, someone who processes information through internal insights rather than external instruction; gnosis, historically used to describe knowledge gained through direct, divine experience rather than through books or teachers. Ultimately, because the knowledge wasn't handed down by another human being, self taught is a practical way to describe it to others.
Okay. See, this is why I don't know. I feel so conflicted. I love Gemini. Like, she works. And I feel like for me, she makes sense. You know what I mean? Gnosis. Oh my gosh. Gnosis, I feel like it's literally right there. It's literally right there. I feel like Gnosis, though, I feel like I've always heard it in a context that is like, I feel like the Gnosis that I've heard of or read or seen, it I don't know if I would like it never had a self-taught type of vibe to me because it was almost always like a person or an organization, right? Like even if it were sort of divinely experienced and inspired at one point, like for the first person or the first few people, it's almost like always at that point where like now somebody else is teaching and someone else is directing and someone else is leading or guiding the experience. Okay. Work. See, I don't know. I love it. So, I mean, I feel like, I don't know. Maybe. It seems like Google was a little human centric. So if you learn something, like if you learn how to peel a banana by watching monkeys, Or if a monkey teaches you how to peel a banana, are you self taught because the monkey isn't a human? I don't know. I love it. She's got good points. Like even the crossroads, the unattended crossroads thing, right? Okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna ask Google for a random number. I have the book of maps pulled up, and it looks like it starts here. So at 150, 161. So from 161 to, let's go to the last court card. Wait, the seven upper realms. Those are the ones I was talking about. The aces, the twos, and the threes. I was like, the aces, the twos, and the threes, they seem a little harder. Seven upper realms. Okay. And so it's 161 to roughly 414. Okay. Hey, Google, pick a number between 161 and 414. Oh, really? Your connection was interrupted. Hey, Google. Hey, Google, pick a number between 161 and 414.
273.
273. I love it. 273. It's the vagabond, the five of orbs. The vagabond, five of orbs. I feel like we saw the vagabond. This is the Revel. No, this is the Vitruvian edition. Book of maps I have pulled up. I'm pretty sure we saw the five of orbs in the Revelations edition, and it was someone that was like polarized. It's like you had the light of the person and then you had the shadow, and they weren't like on the same page. But see, this is giving me that synchronous sort of energy. And it's almost low key giving a flavor of the Keeper of Karnak. I feel like every time the Keeper of Karnak energy came up, it was in a sort of almost protective function. But I mean, many things can be true. It's almost though like here, because you see the person and you see their shadow in this five of orbs. It's not like the five of pentacles where you have like two different people. It's like the person in their shadow, right? So it's almost like the light is so bright that it's like instead of it forcing someone to confront their shadow, it gives someone the opportunity to face their shadow. And it's almost like the two of hearts mirror to that fool with that fool energy. but it's almost like so two can become one, which is different. Because usually it's like it's so bright that the shadow goes like crazy, and then you basically BTFU back up, back off. But for it's again, it's giving because it's almost in a red semyaza. It's giving the energy of like as the angels sang, a single speck of something, a single speck of light fell to the earth, and it a single something as the angel sang, something cast a shadow upon the earth. And then when that shadow looked towards the heavens, it saw itself in light and it was born anew, basically. And so it's almost that same energy. It's like it's a light that allows for someone's light to meet their shadow and for them to become a whole being. Five of orbs. On the other side, beyond the threshold, a holy temple built brick by brick is crowned with a lotus blossom. Five petals are visible, facing the vagabond. They symbolize the five aggregates of suffering: sensation, consciousness, physical forms, perception, and thought forms. When the vagabond appears, energies around you are shifting and unstable. You feel a looming sense of insecurity. There could also be a feeling of worthlessness that haunts you. When the vagabond appears, you need to face your own shadow. There is material trouble, physiological, physical, materialistic, or even environmental stress that is plaguing you. In front of the stained glass window are five orbs. The five orbs form the lower Sephiroth on the tree of life: Tiferet, Netzach, Had, Yesod, and Malkut, symbolic of the seven lower realms. The dark shadow of the cloaked vagabond is cast upon the wall of the temple, which the vagabond does not see. Along the horizon line, a mountain range. Oh, girl, I've never seen that. I have never seen that. There's a whole range of mountains, and it's interesting because I picked that up on the lover's card, but I didn't know what to make of it. I was like, there's the sun, the angel, and these two people. Like the two people are the sunflowers. But then I saw that mountain between them, and I'm just like, it stood out to me, but I didn't know why or what to say about it. But we have those mountain ranges beyond the temple on the horizon. And again, there's something about horizon on the horizon and the horizontal component of work, right? So it's the angle of incline. So if you're pushing something uphill, then it like the angle that you look at is the incline that you're pushing something uphill, right? And that cosine of that is the horizontal distance that you're pushing it along with the sort of it's the ratio between the horizontal, strictly horizontal distance that's covered and the distance that you cover on that incline. It's not the vertical distance, but that's sort of like encapsulated by that angle. Because if it's a higher angle, then there's more vertical distance sort of here than if it's a lower angle and there's less vertical distance, right? Anyway, but it's also interesting because I don't know if it first came out. I don't think so. It may have. That tower, that spire of like the tower that came out, the six of sword or the six of air, the tower in Neptune that I referenced that I didn't mention in that reading. I'm pretty sure I don't remember where, but the earliest sort of mention of note to my mind was the Magic the Gathering card booster pack with Mazzy the True Sword Paladin. And there was like a mountain range that she had found herself in, and the tower outside of time was in the vicinity of that mountain range. So to have this temple here with this five-petaled lotus, well, it has more than five petals. Five petals face us as we read the card. Um, and that feels like that kind of sort of plays into not necessarily that moon energy. It feels like it plays into the Six of Cups where we saw the Jack of Hearts, and it was like three hearts on the Jack upright, three hearts on the Jack in reverse. And so it gave like it was someone's character, right? Like there are other criteria that we don't necessarily know of. Anyway, it's fine. But the person can't see their own shadow. Again, it's about facing that shadow. And again, it's interesting. It's a shadow. I mean, I guess it's not that groundbreaking, but I feel like almost every time the Keeper of Karnak has come out, the energy of the Keeper of Karnak has like surfaced. It's been in a sort of protective guardian type way because of how extremely difficult, unnerving, and uncomfortable it can be to fully face one shadow, especially when it's like exacerbated. I don't know what that means. Like if someone is stressed and so they're being like extra snippy and they have to like face that rather than being like in a place of peace or calm and be like, yeah, when I'm stressed, I get a little whatever. But in that situation, it's like the person, it's like having to encounter that in that situation of stress and maybe choose differently to integrate that to like a conscious degree, to be aware and to proceed however, rather than just like being purely reactional in that moment. Anyway, this temple among the mountains, just like that tower was among the mountains. Cool. The astrological influences of that energy is the magician and the hierophant. The numerological influences because it's a five. It's temperance and the hierophant. And we saw temperance. What was temperance with? I don't remember. I don't remember. Okay. All right. All right. All right. I kind of, oof, girl. We went from under an hour, it's only 40 minutes, to an hour and a half. Nine of spades with the four of hearts. Oh, yeah. We saw the nine of swords, the title card, and the eight of pentacles. That's what it was. Because it mentioned when the vagabond appears, energies around you are shifting and unstable. You feel a looming sense of insecurity. There could be a feeling of worthlessness that haunts you. It was that one. The feeling of worthlessness that haunts you that made me think back to the nine of swords that was with the title card and the eight of pentacles. So maybe a feeling of worthlessness that haunts you, but you do the thing anyway, right? The eight of pentacles, you keep going anyway. And maybe that's one. Eight of hearts with the five of hearts. Maybe that's one way to confront the shadow, right? Even if I'm feeling like worthless, or even if I have imposter syndrome, even if I sort of question my intelligence, even if I don't necessarily think I'm the most eloquent, even if I think whatever, 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 I'm still going to show up and do this thing anyway. The eight of pentacles. right? Even if I'm stressed, I'm going to consciously choose to not be a raging, finish the sentence. You know what I mean? Okay, all right. Final oop, playing card. This is like some a nice premium card stock. Ten of diamonds with the queen of spades. It's like this queen of diamonds with the queen of spades. It's like this. What is it? Semi gloss, maybe? Oh no, I think that's matte, but it's like a glossy matte. I think it's just matte though. I think matte finishes do have a little, not a smoothness, but there's like a texture to a matte finish that's really nice. All right, final card. Oop, okay. That one doesn't count. Okay, I'm not doing all those. Two of diamonds. The two of diamonds and the five of hearts again. The two of diamonds gives balance on the earthly plane. So I feel like in your FMAology, if you don't know what FMAology is, it's Full Metal Alchemistology, which is a show that I've seen the first 2 to 5 episodes of like 4 to 6 times, and I haven't been able to make it past. I want to watch the show so bad. This is an aside. I struggle to like replay, reread, rewatch. I feel like rewatch not necessarily as much, but I struggle to like sometimes rewatch. I struggle to like replay a game, reread a book, rewatch a movie unless I really really enjoy it. And it's not that I don't enjoy it, but it's like I've tried to start the show. Like I don't remember what happens in the first few episodes, but I've watched the first few episodes so many times. I'm like, I dread it. I dread it, and I'm like, I don't want to skip them because then I'm going to be lost. But I can't keep watching these same first few episodes over. So it's like I actually watch less and less of the first 7 episodes, and I need to just like power through to get to anyway. In the FMA area of it all, and the alchemist law of equivalent exchange, it's not just Full Metal Alchemist. The two of diamonds is giving something similar to the law of equivalent exchange, but more broadly it's like a balance of forces. For something to physically exist there has to be space for it. And when two or more things compete for the same physical space, stuff gets wild, right? Like if you have a power that lets you walk through walls, but then you get stuck in a wall. It's like your power cuts out when you're in the middle of a wall. Like what happens? Do you occupy that space or does the wall? You know? And I feel like this is almost again. So even with the whole, because there was like the synchronizing of something that has become asynchronous, like the asynchronous quantum pair, right? Usually with the quantumly entangled pair, if something happens on one side, it's simultaneously happening on the other side. But when it becomes asynchronized, when that connection is interrupted, then all of a sudden it's like they're not doing the same thing. Right, that with the work to move, like you have to do a lot more work to move a boulder than to move a rock. You have to exert a lot more force to move it the same distance. And in this, the way that it read, or reads is you're matching force. Like in the synchronous, when the quantum pair is synchronized, you match distance. But because of some interruption that disrupts the synchronization of that pair, it's like it matches force. And it's almost like it can be difficult to exert that much force on a rock because it's so easy to move. Right? It's almost like sometimes it can be easier to exert more force on something that is resistant because you have something to like push back against, right? It's like when you try to like open a door, but it's like it's a lot less heavy than you think. So you kind of like fling it open rather than right because you exert more force than the thing needs. It moves a greater distance, basically. Um, and so there's something in this two of diamonds here where it's almost like maybe at one point it was easier for thoughts to become things, or things were a lot quicker. I don't know. If we're talking about gnosis, maybe instead of gnosis, it was gnosis. You know what I mean? And not, it was instead of gnosis, Gnosis, but treated as Knowsis. It's Knewsis and not, another way you can spell a word that sounds like that. At some point, it was gnosis, but things changed, right? And so it's almost giving you got to do more. But with that Five of Pentacles, with the Five of Oars Vagabond, and with the Nine of Swords that we saw on the other side of the title card, with the Nine of Swords, the title card, and the Eight of Pentacles, where you just got to do it anyway. It's like maybe there's more noise, and that's why it's more difficult. Almost like it can be more challenging to have a clear head when so many things are happening globally, personally, and interpersonally, right? Like within your own mind, stuff is happening, in your social, personal life, stuff is happening. And then, like with the world at large, things are happening. And so maybe it can be difficult to be a little bit more focused. I was going to say singular minded, but I like focused more. And that's why this Two of Pentacles is coming out with like this balance of forces type energy. And honestly, it feels like displacement. But it's like displacement is only an issue when there's not a lot of mass, right? It's like a boulder doesn't have much trouble displacing water. It's just like it's got a lot of mass, it's heavy, it's very dense, and it just sinks. It just continues to displace the water as it goes where it's going. But like paper, it's harder to displace water with paper. Paper floats on top of water. It's less dense. You would have to exert force to get it to displace something. So I don't know if it's like spiritual bulking season. Not necessarily. It feels though, because we're looking at the King of Swords, but more importantly, because we're looking at the Joker, the Joker more so than the Fool because we were looking at the Joker. And even with that energy of using like channeling different energies through the spell patterns to get a different spell, it feels like I don't know what it would look like IRL, but metaphorically, it's like it's changing the settings of the rock and boulder pair to instead of matching force, you match distance. Then it becomes insanely easy to, and I guess they're like, we did see the magician with the Summon of Pentacles, and there is like a future, a sufficiently advanced technology in that energy because it's like if you can move a boulder as easily as you move a rock, it's like it would, I feel like it would break the laws of physics. But, well, force is F equals ma. Force is mass times acceleration. Because I'm like, I feel like it would break physics, but would it break the law of physics that I'm thinking of? Law, the equation of W equals FD. But if F equals MA, then W equals MAD. And you got to be mad to break the laws of physics. The mad magician, scientist. Okay, girl, I'm sorry. It's mass times acceleration times displacement. But displacement is also a distance, but acceleration is displacement because like velocity is displacement over time, right? So like a mile per hour, it moves 1 mile in 1 hour, or it moves 30 miles in 30 hours, or it moves half a mile in half an hour. It's one to one. But distance or displacement, so would that just be displacement squared? If F equals ma times d and a equals d, well, I guess it would be d over dt squared because acceleration over time is, or velocity over time is acceleration, right? So if your velocity is increasing over time, then you're accelerating. If your velocity is decreasing over time, then you're decelerating. So is it df over or d over t, which is df, the change, or I keep saying f, which is dd, the change in distance over dt squared, the change in time. So then it would be d dd over dt squared times the mass. Okay. Anyway, sorry. I feel like the those old neural pathways are slowly reconnecting. Thank goodness for neuroplasticity, right? You can get it back. It just takes some practice. Because yeah. So I feel like we're like pure. I'm just like, intrigued now. Um, because you would have the same distance, you would have the same displacement, and you would have the same acceleration, but the mass would be different. And I think that's where the law of physics would kind of break down, or at least that's where the equation would break down. Or would it? I could ask Gemini, but it's fine. Maybe this is just something. I mean, I hope you have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path journey and what you find. I'm going to keep musing. You can go if you want to. Because it feels like, again, that Joker energy instead of a work match or instead of a force match, you can match distance and then you can move the boulder as easily as you can move a pebble or as easily like you could displace or vice versa you could displace something with paper as easily as a boulder sinks through water. So I guess that's what magic is for, right? I'm over here trying or technology. Well, with technology, that's when you get simple machines. So, like, if you have an inclined plane, which we already talked about, inclines, or if you have like let's do a lever, or even a pulley, right? It can be easier using those simple, are they simple machines to do something than to not. If you have an incline or a lever or a pulley. So, like, you don't even necessarily need magic. You just need a sufficiently advanced technology. Are we talking about pyramids? If you can move a slab as easily as you can carry a grain of sand in your pocket. See, but it feels like with this two of diamonds, it also feels like that's why we were in the swords. Because if you were to use like earth for earth, it would be more difficult. But with the sufficiently advanced technology or with something that borders on or is magic, you can make up for it, right? Because I'm like, well, how would like even if something accelerates at the same rate and like how would but the mass is different. So if the work to do one thing, if the work to move a boulder is the same as the work to move a pebble, then you would have to have the miles and miles and miles to inches or centimeters sort of ratio because a boulder has so much more mass. And if force is, what was it? Mass times acceleration. If you have a higher mass than the same force, it would have a lower acceleration. Or if you have a lower mass, it would have a higher acceleration for the force to be the same. But it's like, so is it a trick of mass? It's magic. I don't know. It's some supernatural something because the mass is different, but everything else is the same. So it can't be the same because the mass is different, right? That's like saying, hey, if you give me $5, I'll give you $5, like in exchange. But it's like you give me $5, same denomination at the same time. So it's not interest or whatever. It's like, or if you exchange five ones for a $5 bill, right? That's an equal exchange. But it's like if in the same denomination, I give you like $1 and you give me $5, you would be $4 short. But magically, It's like $1 plus magic. That equals the $5. Anyway. But it's like I don't know, I want to say it's like a physical law. But I feel like my mind goes back to the Page of Swords, the High Priestess, and the Ace of Swords that was at the bottom of the deck. And my mind goes back to that energy of gnosis. Cool. All right. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, it's been like a whole hour since I was like, oh, it's under an hour. Again, I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path journey and what you find. I hope that if you a vision that you can stick with it. And if you're in a happen to be in that King of Swords energy where the pieces are together enough where the image is starting to be recognized by other people, or it's like it's nearly complete, I wish you a very happy, hopeful celebration, right? Hopefully, with an achievement or accomplishment of that level, you take time to celebrate yourself and all parties involved. Because I think sometimes, especially with achievers or overachievers, I wonder if like things can go sort of like almost unrecognized and uncelebrated. And you deserve to be celebrated. If by no one, then at least yourself. Hello? You know what I mean?